Producers, it's Özgün here. In this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to make your own DJ mixes in FL Studio. You can use these techniques for your radio shows or your DJ mixes that you upload to your social media. And I'm gonna give the FLP for free, so you can use this as your own and easily create your mixes. If you're ready, let's get into that tutorial. So I have two tracks in here. I'm not gonna play them because we only need to use them for the demonstration. So let's say we are in the track 1. Let's call it track A. And we wanna go to track B. So this is the main thing, right? The first thing we gotta do to send them to separate channels. We can send one of them to here and call it track A. We can call it track B. This is what you do in live recordings. We are gonna use the same logic when you are playing as live. It's nothing different, but in FL Studio we have more time to decide, we have more controls in it. Alright, so the first thing we gotta do is to determine the BPM of the tracks. Do this first. We have to put this first kick to the grid. We are gonna double click, right click to the time, auto detect. And if the BPM is detected, you can see it in here. If you don't like it, you can always do something like this. You can go click here, click tap, and you can just tap with the track. So at some point, it should be detected. The track tempo is 140. Then I'm gonna go here, click auto detect, type in BPM, and I'm gonna write 140 to here, and that's all I'm gonna do. And yeah, don't forget to put it the stretch mode, because the stretch mode is gonna keep the key when you are changing the tempo. After you're making this, you gotta lower the volume, and let's make sure we are putting it to the right. Okay, it sounds good. It's fitting well with the metronome. And we have to do the same thing to the second track. Let's put it to the grid and move it like this. Okay, I just replaced the track because that was the same BPM. We need some different BPM so I can demonstrate you the trick. Okay, I'm gonna put this one to the grid. I can just remove this part. And then we are gonna do the same. I'm gonna go click tap. And I'm gonna tap and find the BPM of the second track. It's 132. You can get an average value while tapping, then you can just fine tune. And once you see everything is hit the grid, you are good to go. And yeah, the first track is 140 and the second track is 132. So there are 8 BPM of difference. I always like to write the BPMs to the next, so we can keep that in mind. Oh, this one was 140. Yes, perfect. So I need to move it to here. And again, we gotta keep this one for stretch mode. I'm gonna talk about it later. Okay, I'm gonna start with track B and then I'm gonna go to track A. To do this, let's add another line here. We can call it BPM. I'm gonna right click to the BPM and create automation clip. So this track is 132. I'm gonna copy this value because it should be played at its own tempo. We have to find the outro of the track. There is usually 16 bar of intro and 16 bar of outro. It's usually like symmetrical. Okay, this part is the outro. Maybe we can just mark it. And in the outro, we have to start the second track. Now, as you see, because we tell them their own tempo, they are just following our project tempo. They are not moving bigger or slower when I'm changing the tempo. That was the point when we are clicking the time and giving their own information to them. So now after you matching the outro of one track and intro of other track, let's hear how they sound. Maybe I can just lower the volume of the second track. Okay, it sounds good. We can make a good transition between them. And we gotta determine at which point we are gonna go back to new track's tempo. So let's see, we played it this far. Maybe we can do this in here. It all depends on the track. Maybe sometimes you just switch the tempo on while it's still on transition. Sometimes you do it after the transition. So let's say we just gonna do that in here. I'm gonna copy the value of 132, paste it to the last part, and then I'm gonna copy the value of 140, and let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. After 4 bars, we are gonna shift the tempo 8 BPMs up. Let's paste it here as well. Yes, I think it sounds smooth. Now we gotta make sure the transition is not clashing, because right now both of the tracks are playing at the same time. We are gonna use the same logic when we are playing live this track. We can add the lines here, and we can do like this. Let's put an EQ, and let's choose step 8, and oh, it's wrong, it should be high pass. Leave it like this. So we can automate this one. Let's click create automation clip, and maybe I can copy the value. Maybe I can cut it like 4 or 500 so the bases are not clashed together. Let's move the positions properly so A and B don't mistaken with each other. Okay, I'm gonna create an automation for the second one. And now we have 2 of the EQ bands. When I'm do this, the EQ is gonna cut the lows, right? So let's see. We are playing this. And if you see, the outro has 2 different sections. Like one section with full bass, and the other section, the last part of the outro, is just a kick and there's less bass. So you can always do that. There should be a transition in the middle of the outro. Just one bar before the less crowded outro part comes, and you can do like this. Let's see how much we are cutting. Maybe this much is enough, so I'm gonna copy this value, so paste here. I'm gonna do the same. And now we should do the opposite. The next track should start with less bass. And in the transition part, they should switch the basses. So the first track's bass is gonna be diminished, and the new track's bass is gonna be there. Okay, let's hear how they're gonna sound. I think I'm gonna lower the values a little bit because they are loud and they are clipping. Let's give maybe we can just route them to next group, and we can call it like master and lock it. So we can control how loud they are. And even if you don't want to touch the faders, we can always just reduce several dBs in here. And yeah, we made a perfect transition, but still there are some problem. Like, big shout out to Oli James. I just learned this one to him. I was using the same mistake. You remember, right? I told you we will talk about the stretch mode. So the stretch mode is the best one if you are shifting the tempos, just like in here. But it's killing the transients. And I just learned this trick from Oli James. Just you can check his Patreon. There is amazing stuff on there. After you go back to the new tracks key, you can just cut it. Let's do it on the pre-drop, so it's gonna be more safe. You can make it unique, and you go back to resample. So after the transition, if you leave it on resample, it's not gonna change anything on the track because it's 140, the track is 140, it's not gonna stretch again. But the good thing, it's gonna be more accurate. The quality is gonna be better. After transition, just make unique and set to resample. Then you're fine. Let's hear how they sound. Also you can do one more trick. You can always add fruity balance to the channels, so you can control the volumes. Let's create an automation for A and B. B should be here, A should be here. If you copy this value and paste it here, you can use the automations like this. It's like more easy to draw the curves. I'm gonna do the same for this one. So the maximum value is gonna be the value that we just copied. And we can do something like this, maybe. Like in here, we lower the volume. And in here, we just don't start with full volume. You can always listen the parts, the transition, and like decide the best. And after that, you can always put a limiter to the master chain. And with this limiter, you can make sure there are no clipping because the two tracks together, or sometimes their volumes are different. When you play them at the same time, there can be some clipping. So limiter is gonna help you fixing that. But still, yeah, you can just lower this value a little bit more to have some headroom. Okay, I'll just color this one. It's now more decent. And yeah, you can always use this simple template to make your own radio mixes or DJ mixes, DJ sets. I hope you can apply this to your own productions too. Today that was it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Bye bye.